On August 27, 2022, Magnus Carlsen went on the Lex Fridman podcast and admitted that the reason why he's not defending his world championship title is because of his fear of losing. Most chess fans were confused, but after refusing to defend his title and not entering the candidates, people are starting to realize that he is very serious about this. So why is Magnus so afraid of losing? Well, to really understand the full picture, we need to go back to the dramatic World Championship of 2016. The championship on the surface doesn't seem as anything unusual. Magnus Carlsen was defending his title against the challenger, Sergei Karyakin, who managed to win the candidates. The games at the start of the match were boring. The first 7 games ended in a draw and nothing was happening, but in game 8, Sergei managed to grab the advantage and win. This was huge at the time. With only a few games left, everyone was kind of thinking that maybe Magnus could lose this one. However, Magnus managed to win game 10 and then win in a tiebreaker. Again, this seems like a very usual tournament from the outside view, but a few years later, Magnus showed his perspective, and it was a completely different story. When asked from the podcast host to describe the feeling of a really bad defeat, this is what Magnus had to say. "I go straight to anger, right away. Anger and depression. It's not always both hits in, but one of them sure does. There are so many times when I've lost and ended up thinking, I can't keep doing this. I don't want to feel this way once more, and if I keep playing like this, I just have to quit." And in addition, the anxiety. I especially felt it during the World Championship in 2016. When I was behind after 8th and 9th game, especially after the 8th, I thought, how can I show up at a chess tournament again after? Experiencing what I saw as the biggest humiliation I could ever imagine at the board. How could I ever return after that? Luckily, I turned the match, so I didn't have to. However, Magnus did not tell the full story here. A few months ago, he also opened up about his drinking habits, and this 2016 championship once again came into discussion. Apparently, after losing the 8th game, Magnus decided to get drunk with his team. He called this alcohol therapy and said, "It's the only time I have done this," and it worked. This, however, is not really the only story of Magnus dealing with alcohol. In 2012 World Rapid and Blitz, Magnus went in the minibar between games and drank as much vodka as he could in 15 minutes. This isn't to say that Magnus has a drinking problem, but it shows how he manages stress sometimes, which to the normal person might seem really unhealthy. That is why we need to talk about his fear of losing when it comes to the World Championship. Magnus is afraid that a younger and quicker player is going to defeat him someday, but that isn't really something that would cause him to drop out of a fight. Everyone that plays chess knows that the new generation will take over no matter what happens, but Magnus does not think his time has come. He considers himself the best at the game and doesn't think anyone has a chance to beat him. After all, he recently won the World Cup, which is one of the hardest classical tournaments currently. However, Magnus has stated multiple times that he does not enjoy playing in this format because it's very time-consuming and not fun. The World Championship is the best of 14 games, but the match doesn't start there. Both the champion and the challenger prepare 6 months in advance for all the possible openings and middle games they are going to do. It basically becomes a memory and preparation game. Magnus really doesn't like that and doesn't really want to devote all that time because in his eyes, he has nothing more to prove. This is why he is so afraid of losing, not because he thinks anyone can really beat him, but because he knows that if he were to lose, it would happen because he doesn't want to devote his time to it. So of course, he was very stressed about this and was very reluctant to quit the World Championship. After all, the World Championship really shows you down in history who really dominated the chess scene. It's like the ultimate title for a chess player. However, after defeating Jan in 2021 and seeing Jan again as the challenger for 2023, finally made Magnus decide that he just didn't want to pursue the World Championship anymore. In the end, Magnus Carlsen chose to abandon the world title for the sake of his mental health, and honestly, he does seem a lot happier now at the time of writing this script. He says he is traveling more and he is just having fun playing chess while still dominating most tournaments. And I think that's a good thing for the chess scene as a whole.